Hello again, everyone. This is Sandy. Today's video, we're going to do a full IELTS speaking test using a set of questions from the 2023 IELTS test. I will also provide sample answers to these questions. In addition, I'm going to give you some very valuable tips and ideas to help you really stand out in the real test on the day. Before we get into the test itself, let us do a quick review of what is going to happen on the day of the test. Firstly, you are going to arrive at the test centre early, ready to go. You might be a little apprehensive, but you are full of confidence. Why? Because you know you can do this test and get the band score you want. On entering the test centre, you will probably be shown to a waiting area where you should just relax. Try to maintain a smiling, happy and friendly attitude throughout. The examiner will meet you at the waiting area and take you to the test room when it's time for the test. At this time, they may engage or may not engage in small talk with you, maybe the weather or how your journey to the test centre was. Just be polite and keep your answers short. Once you're in the test room, you will be informed that the test is being recorded. This is a significant moment because this means that the test is now starting. The examiner will introduce themselves and will ask your name and what they should call you. Keep your answer brief. My name is blah blah blah, and you can call me blah blah blah.
My name is Rebecca Arnson, but please just call me Becky.
Simple. With a smile on your face, of course. They will then ask for formal identification in way of a passport, preferably, or an ID card. Then, once these formalities are complete, the test will begin. The test is in 3 parts and will last no longer than 14 minutes. So let us now do a quick review of the three parts of this test. Part 1 is a real warm-up, and you're going to be answering a series of questions that should not present a problem because they are all about you and your life. Many could be answered by just using a simple yes or no, or maybe just 2 or 3 words. But please don't do that. Expand your answer. Use 2 or 3 sentences that might take about 15 seconds to answer, which is about ideal. Don't worry too much about complex vocabulary at this stage. It would certainly help if you can use a variety of sentences, simple, compound and complex, and this would get you off to a very, very good start. In this part of the test, you will be asked around 12 questions, and it will last approximately 5 minutes. IELTS Speaking Part 2. This part is commonly known as the long turn, and this is the part where you are given a cue card and then have 1 minute to prepare before you are required to speak for up to 2 minutes. You are told that you should speak for between 1 to 2 minutes, but if you are looking for a high band score, then you need to be speaking for the full 2 minutes or very, very close. Here I really need to tell you, your 1 minute preparation requires that you have a strategy. There are several teachers or schools on YouTube, etc. that have various strategies for this part of the test. Believe me, please, many of those strategies are absolutely useless. There is no way that you can apply them and be ready to talk in 1 minute. The strategies I push to test takers are well proven and can be applied in seconds, taking the pressure away. And I have seen them used effectively hundreds of times. I have made several videos on the use of these strategies and will link them in the description. And if you practice them, then the whole speaking test becomes much simpler. So now we come to part 3. This is the part that they call the discussion, and the examiner will be looking to ask about 6 questions, and most of these questions are scripted. However, they may deviate from this and give you some unscripted questions which might be based on your previous answers. In this part, you will be expected to really show your command of the language, using grammatical structures effectively. The complexity of your vocabulary will also be evaluated. However, it's important to emphasize here that you can still get the high band scores using normal vocabulary that you are familiar with and you can use effectively. If you use complex vocabulary out of context, as a lot of students do, then that can detract from your performance and really hurt your marks as well. If you can use subordinating conjunctions, dependent words that result in dependent clauses, that will really help you. That means starting sentences with words such as if or although. This may sound complex, but I assure you it is easy. And I will put some links in the video description that you can refer to that will guide you on how to do this easily. So that is the 3 parts of the test you will face. So now let's get into doing a full test together. You're going to have an opportunity to answer first, and it would be very useful to you if you record yourself, as it will let you assess your own performance. And you should also have paper and pencil ready for making notes as we go through the test itself. So, are you ready? Are you excited? Are you motivated? Let's get to it. Do you live in a house or a flat? Can you describe the views from your windows? What is your favorite room and why? What kind of accommodation would you like to have in the future? So that's the first 4 questions, and that's the first section in part 1 of the English speaking. There's 2 more sections, but before we go on to the next section, I'd just like to give you some sort of suggested answers for the questions that you've just attempted, and you can see how you compare. So let's have a look at that.
Because I need to stay close to the university where I am studying, I live in an apartment shared by 2 other students. It is ideal in several ways, being less than a 15-minute walk to the university makes life easy. In addition, sharing with other students helps me to keep focused on my studies. Unfortunately, this is one aspect that is not so good. Living on the 6th floor of a 15-story building and surrounded by similar buildings grouped closely together really restricts any views. The only real purpose the windows serve is to allow light into the rooms during the day. My favorite room is my bedroom. This is my space, this is where I go to rest. When I want to be alone and not disturbed by others, this is my small private sanctuary that I can disappear into. Being able to lock my bedroom door gives me a sense of security for the few valuable items I possess. If it was practical, My dream home would be a house with a garden. Unfortunately, having to work in the big city does not allow me to follow that dream. Instead, I would be happy if I could have a nice apartment in a good area with many facilities close by.
So now I'd like to talk about languages. How many languages do you speak? Why do you learn English? Do you think it's challenging to learn a new language? Would you like to learn another language in the future?
My first language is Hindi, which is widely spoken in the part of India where I was born. I also speak Bengali and Tamil, both of these also originate in parts of India. Of course, I should also mention English, which is used widely in my country. As I said before, English is also spoken widely in India, which is a result of the country being previously colonized by Great Britain. In addition, English is also the preferred language in international business, so I believe it is important for me to be as proficient as possible. I believe learning is always a challenge, whether it is languages or other subjects, most present a challenge. Many want to learn other languages as a hobby, but for me, improving my English is career driven. I have no real desire to become a polyglot, a master of many languages. One language that does interest me because of the beneficial aspects that speaking it is Chinese. If I have the opportunity and time, I would seriously consider learning it, although, from the little I know, I think this would be difficult.
Well, that's the second section of speaking part one that we've just done there. Before we move on to the final section of part one, I'd just like to say that last response that the lady had about learning another language in the future, the final part of her statement where she used the words if and although in the same sentence really made that a very good complex compound complex structure that would have been picked up by the examiner for sure, and that would have got her off to a very, very good start. If you didn't notice it, may I just suggest go back and have a quick look at that last response, because it was an excellent. So now I'd like to move on. I'd like to ask you about friends. Do you have many friends? How important are friends to you? Where do you often meet your friends? What do you usually do with your friends? Well, that's it. Well done. And I'm just about to give you the suggested answers or my answers for the last 4 questions there. But before I do, I just want you to pay particular attention where we've created complex, compound sentences in our answers in this coming 4 questions to see how easy it is to do it, actually. So keep an eye open for it, using words like although and if, etc. There's lots of them, but pay attention, see if you can see them.
Even though I share an apartment with other students, I don't have many friends, real friends. I am quite a quiet and independent person and enjoy my own company. I do socialize with other students and the atmosphere is always friendly and fun, but outside these occasions, I tend to keep myself to myself. I do have one real friend from my early years and we always meet up when I am at home. But as you may gather, I am very independent. Asking if friends are important to me, I have to say not really. As I said previously, I meet up with my childhood friend when I visit my home. Here on campus, mostly at weekends, we meet up for a meal or a few drinks. Saturday nights are popular as we can relax more on Sunday. At weekends, we often go out for a meal or drinks. Also, on occasion, there is a special happening at the theatre, maybe a special show or a visiting singer, and we will go as a group. If any of my flatmates are going shopping on a Saturday, often I will join them.
Well, that's it for part 1 of the IELTS speaking test. 12 questions. That would normally take about 5 minutes to get through. A little bit more today because obviously we're giving the answers in that as well. How did you find it? Let me know in the comments if you found it useful or not. So moving on, we're going to go on to part 2 now, which is the long term, and it's important that we get this right. You've got a minute's preparation. I hope you've got a pencil and paper, and you will get the cue card very, very shortly. Good luck. Okay, now we're on to task 2 and the long term, where you have 1 minute to get ready and 2 minutes to talk. I hope you found that okay, and what we'll do now is we'll look at how I would attack this question, the strategy I'd use, and how I would develop the answer according to my strategy. So keep watching. So I'd like to talk about strategies now, very briefly. I have to tell you that in the years gone past, I've had hundreds of students that I've taught these strategies to, and they have, in the majority, been very successful in using them to get the band score they want. But they're not just my strategies. These strategies are well known within IELTS circles. So they're used by many teachers to help their students along. I've broken them down to 3. Some only use 1, but I've got 3 aspects that I try to push. The first one is the past, present, and future, where we're going to give 3 different answers to the same question. We're going to talk about what might have happened in the past, and we're going to be talking about what's happening in the present, and then we're going to talk about what's likely to happen in the future. That's the past, present, and future. The second one is the pros and the cons, the positives and the negatives to the question. As I say, it's down to 2 parts, and you talk about the good aspects and you talk about the bad aspects. That's another strategy. Or indeed, the third strategy is to give 2 answers. If they ask you about a book that you like, talk about 2 books. If they ask you about a piece of art that you like, talk about 2 pieces of art. If they talk about a city or something you like, talk about 2 cities. Easy to use the 2 answer. And in many, many tasks, the 2 answer is the best solution, I can assure you. So what are we going to use in this particular instance? The question is, describe a long car journey you went on. So past, present, and future. No, we can't use that because it's only in the past. It's a car journey we went on, so it's in the past tense. The pros and the cons. Yes, maybe we could use that, because we could talk about a long car journey with all the positive aspects, maybe the nice scenery, nice hotels, blah, blah, blah. And we can also talk about the negative aspects, the sitting in the car for hours and getting bored, and traffic jams and cost of fuel, etc. Yeah, positives and negatives there. It could be. Finally, 2 answers. 2 answers. Yes, I like 2 answers. Easy to talk about 2 car journeys. So in this particular instance, I am going to opt for 2 car journeys. But you might have opted for the positives and the negative aspects. Anyway, let's see how my answer goes, huh? Okay, I think I fixed it. So what I'm going to talk about, my answers to this question, are 2 car journeys that I want to talk about. One was planned as a very long car journey, where I was on holiday and touring around the UK, and hired a car at the airport, and then drove up one side of the country, right around the top of the country, and then down the other side. The whole journey took us 10 days, which was too long in the car, but it was okay because we stayed in some nice hotels. We saw the country, we saw some beautiful scenery. So that part I can talk about very easy, can easily fill maybe the 2 minutes on that actually, but we've got our second journey as well. And the second journey was an unplanned journey, a long journey. Anyway, we were visiting friends in Kashmir. Once again, we hired a car at the airport, and we on our way to where they lived. We got caught in snow blizzards, and then we were stuck there. We couldn't go anywhere. We were stuck on the road for about between 6 and 7 hours while we waited to be rescued. And we had no food or drinks, etc., in the car, and we were in quite a poor state by the end of 7 hours. And thankfully, that's when the The snow plows turned up and people brought us some help and some food and some water, etc. So two good stories there, two good stories. Now then, just let me add one other little thing, You've got to be imaginative when you're answering these questions. Nobody's caring if you're telling lies or you're whatever. They just want to hear you tell your story, use your vocabulary and your grammar and get your coherence good, etc. It doesn't matter what you're saying as long as you've planned it out. It's a good constructive answer. Perfect. Think about it. Think it's easy to dream up short stories, 1 or 2 minute stories. Practice it. Okay, let's see how the answers turn out now.
I very rarely get the opportunity to go on long car journeys and can only recall to significant occasion. A few years ago we went on a family holiday to the United Kingdom. We planned to fly into London and then rent a car at the airport. If you look at a map of the UK, it does not seem a particularly big country. We set out to travel the whole country for 10 or 12 days. By the third day, we were realizing our plan was not good, as all we were seeing were the motorways. Although we had already booked and paid for our hotels at the various planned stopovers, if we were to get any benefit from our holiday, the plan had to change. It was decided that we would only travel every other day, so we then looked at where we wanted to have the breaks. If we had taken the time and done our homework before we arrived, it would have been obvious that we were planning to do too much. Fortunately, it all turned out well in the end and we did enjoy the holiday. The other car journey I mentioned did not turn out so well. We set out to visit relatives in Kashmir to spend the New Year celebrations with them. Once again, we rented a car for a journey that should have taken just 3 hours. Just 1 hour into the journey, we were in the mountains and it started snowing. Very quickly, visibility started becoming a problem and the snow was blizzarding across the road. We were just creeping along when we came behind several vehicles that had been involved in an accident. There was nothing we could do except wait for help, as the road was now very dangerous. We had no food or water in the car, and of course, it was cold. It took over 6 hours for assistance to arrive and then another 5 hours before we arrived at our destination. A nightmare of a journey.
So that's part 2, done and dusted and out the way. Now we're coming into what I believe is the hardest part of the speaking test. Part 3, the discussion. What benefits does public transport bring to society?
Public transport offers several benefits. Firstly, it reduces traffic congestion, leading to smoother commutes and decreased stress for individuals. This not only saves time but also lowers pollution levels, contributing to a cleaner environment and improved public health. Secondly, it promotes social equity by providing affordable transportation options for those who cannot afford private vehicles, enhancing inclusivity and economic opportunities. So, public transport eases congestion, supports environmental sustainability, enhances accessibility, and encourages social integration, making it a valuable asset for society.
Is it too late for people to get a driving license at 18 years old?
No, it is not too late for individuals to obtain driving licenses at 18 years old. 18 is the legal age in many countries when individuals become eligible to apply for a driver's license. It's a significant milestone for personal mobility and independence. Learning to drive at 18 offers ample time to gain essential driving skills and knowledge, ensuring road safety. Moreover, obtaining a license at this age is common and allows young adults to fulfill various responsibilities such as commuting to work or pursuing higher education independently. Therefore, 18 is an appropriate age for acquiring a driver's license, and it's not too late.
Do you think the government should make it a rule for people to use public transport?
While encouraging public transport use is important for reducing congestion and environmental impact, making it mandatory may not be the best approach. Such a rule could infringe on individual freedom and circumstances, like those in remote areas or with special needs. Instead, governments should focus on improving public transport infrastructure, affordability, and convenience to incentivize its use voluntarily. Implementing policies like congestion pricing or providing incentives for using public transport can be more effective and respectful of personal choice while still achieving broader societal goals.
Which method of travel do you consider safest?
Determining the safest method of travel depends on various factors, including the context and location. Generally, air travel is statistically one of the safest modes due to stringent regulations and advanced technology. However, road travel can be safe with responsible driving and adherence to traffic rules. Safety can vary for public transport, influenced by factors like infrastructure and maintenance. Additionally, personal safety also depends on the individual's behavior and preparedness. Therefore, the safest method of travel can vary.
What are the pros and cons of low-cost air travel?
Low-cost air travel has both advantages and disadvantages. Pros: affordability. It makes air travel accessible to a broader range of people, enabling more individuals to explore new destinations. Increased tourism, low fares boost tourism, benefiting local economies and job creation. Competitive pricing, it encourages other airlines to lower fares, benefiting consumers. Cons. Hidden fees, low base fares may come with additional charges for services like baggage, priority boarding, and seat selection. Limited amenities, low-cost airlines often offer fewer amenities, such as no complimentary meals or entertainment. In summary, low-cost air travel offers affordability and convenience.
How do you think people will travel in the future?
The future of travel is likely to be characterized by several trends. Firstly, there will be a greater emphasis on sustainability, with more electric and autonomous vehicles, as well as eco-friendly transportation options like high-speed trains. Additionally, there will be a shift towards experiential and space tourism. However, concerns about privacy, security, and the need for infrastructure development will need to be addressed. In summary, the future of travel will be more sustainable, technologically advanced, and diverse in terms of options and experiences.
There we are, a 2023 IELTS speaking test. All the answers that you've heard during this video are all band 7 plus and exactly where I hope you're heading to also. I see many people say, well, the IELTS test doesn't change, and why should 2023 be any different to 2020 or 10 years ago? It is developing. I see it all the time, and I can assure you that the IELTS test is constantly updating itself, as the world is, and as times are changing with us also. It really is changing, and it's taking into account all the changes in the types of questions that are being asked. Definitely the questions being asked are a reflection of today's world, the wokes and the energy crisis, the wars, the climate changes, all these things are getting taken into account in the way that the questions are being framed. And it's something else that students really, really need to get a grip of as well. Keep up to date with current affairs. That's one of my big suggestions to you, because that might prove a great asset on the day of the test. Just something else to be aware of. Thank you for watching this video, and if you would like, subscribe and ring that bell, it would be very much appreciated from my part. Once again, thanks for watching, and see you in another video soon.